Hey, everybody, welcome back to another awesome week here at On the Throttle with Jackie Van Ham and my buddy Josh. I am out here on the road. I am in beautiful Las Vegas, Josh, this whole week for AIM Expo, which is a motorcycle trade show. This is a business to business show, so it's going to be closed to the public. So they're going to be revealing products, all sorts of exciting stuff. Make sure you hit that notifications on button and subscribe. You're not going to want to miss it and miss any of the awesome news going on out here. Speaking of news, Josh, what do you have going on in your neck of the woods for this week's show?
Well, I'm going to switch things up a little bit with our first one. And the second thing is, because you're out at AIM getting all the big stories, there's some changes that another manufacturer came out with that is a little bit smaller of a story, but still great news. So I'm going to talk about that stuff.
Sounds good to me. And now, first things first, the first topic that I wanted to go ahead and dive into, and I just cannot get this news out of my mouth, Josh. It feels like I'm talking about it every single week, and that is the Dakar Rally. Well, it finally ended this within the past several days. It ended on the 14th. It was up and down. I laughed. I cried. It was better than cats. It was super, super drama going on all over the place. Tons of great stories. Make sure you click back and watch some of our previous episodes where we talked about some of the stars and some of the things going on. However, for today's show, I just wanted to go ahead and give you some of the winners of the Dakar Rally, and then, of course, the top three. At the end of the day, it was GasGas Factory Racing's Sam Sunderland who took home the top of the box in the 2020 Dakar Rally. Second place went to Pablo Quintanilla, and third went to KTM's Matthias Walkner. So I wanted to go ahead, bring that up. There's a great shot of the top three winners of the 2022 Dakar Rally. And in case you were still wondering what happened to this year's swan song, this year's big story, which would be Danilo Petrucci racing this year, MotoGP star, who also, by the way, spoil alert, is going to be racing Moto America going into 2022. He ended up placing 90th in the Dakar. However, don't feel bad, because if you didn't watch last week's show, another spoiler alert, he ended up winning one of the stages of the 2022 rally, and this is in his very first year, Josh. This story, this Dakar was absolutely chills and thrills and spills all over the place. What did you think about this year's rally, Josh?
So, I mean, it's such a special event because of all the drama involved, and it takes place over such a long time and everything like that. There's so many different stories in it. We could probably talk until next week's show about all the different stories with Dakar and still not cover a third of them. When you look, the other thing that I like is there's so many different classes and everything like that to watch. It's such a great event to see the top of the class like this. I mean, kudos to those guys. Just to keep something together for that many miles is a ridiculous feat, and finishing is amazing. So yes, I mean, such great racing, such great drama. Loved seeing it all.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to bring up this story because another little chunk of news came down the pipeline this past week that has to do a little bit with the brands that are involved on the top of the box of the Dakar, which is going to be GasGas and KTM. In case you were not aware, GasGas, KTM are under the same parent umbrella company, and they just released this past week some really interesting numbers that they managed to sell. KTM sold over 330,000 motorcycles in 2021, which is up 23% from this past year. So I just wanted to go ahead and give them a little bit of love as well, because this is going to be KTM, Husqvarna, Raymond, which is another one of their brands, and GasGas also all grew and all gained exponential numbers as well. So huge, great news for the folks over at KTM this past week. What do you have going on for your story for today, Josh?
So this one's kind of interesting. And when I said I'm going to switch it up, well, that kind of leads into this. So you and I both know with Bombardier, they have a tendency to take existing things and look at them from a completely different angle. They're like, can we take this over here or whatever? Well, they decided to do that with the brand new Sea-Doo Switch, which you should be able to see here in just a second. This is basically, it is a tri-hull, but it is meant to be more like a pontoon boat type setup that is super versatile. This is the Swiss Army knife of boats, maybe let's call it. So Sea-Doo came, I mean, they whenever they do something like this, they don't hold back. A lot of manufacturers say, hey, we're going to dip our toe in the water. Bombardier says we are going to dive in head first, and they usually put the research in to make sure that it's a good thing. So the Sea-Doo Switch is going to be available in 3 separate versions. So there is the Switch Sport, say that 5 times fast, the Switch Cruise. The Switch itself is available from 13 to 19 feet, 5 to 9 passengers, and 100 to 170 horsepower. Out of a 13-foot boat, 100 plus horsepower, that's enough to boogie, and that is enough to ski. So the Sport is 13 to 21 foot, 5 to 9 passengers, 170 to 230 horsepower. Then there is the Cruise, which is 18 to 21 feet, 7 to 9 passengers, 180 to 230 horsepower. So if you want to take the person that's going to ski behind this boat and give them an extra sleeve length, you can do that. If you've ever tried to ski behind any sort of a jet boat, you know what I'm talking about. Out of the hole, they're always insane. So the cool thing is that these Sport and Cruise, they're both going to have 7-inch touchscreens, which will have Garmin GPS on them. They are a tri-hull design, so that is what they're considering it. But it's set up to have it so the outboard stanchions are in the water still. That being said, it makes for a very stable boat, but if you look, and you can see it some in this picture, that center hull is quite a bit deeper, so it does allow it to carve and, quite frankly, be fun in the water. If you look, the captain of the boat there, notice I said captain, he's got a set of handlebars that he's operating, which to me makes it that kind of interesting feel to it. All of them are Rotax engines. They use the jet pump, the standard BRP jet pump, and they also have the BRP intelligent braking setup. Now, if we look in this next setup here, this next slide here, this is what I think is so cool, and this is why I think it's such a neat boat that Sea-Doo has come to make here. So it shows a seat. No, it's not a floating seat. What it shows is the fact that you can move these seats around. You can put a sun deck there. You can put a table there. I believe there's even like a small cooler that you can bolt down there. It's all basically latch and lock setup, so you can put seats wherever you want to. You can add a swim deck. You can take the swim deck off. There's all sorts of versatility that they've built into this. If you're only going to take you and a buddy out fishing, it'll take you 2 minutes, take all the seats off. Great, you've got a fishing platform. You want to take the family and some friends out? Load it up with the seats and put them all on there. That way you've got the passenger capacity there. To me, that's what makes this the Swiss Army knife, so to say, of boats. The fact that you can see someone skiing, it's got a platform you can fish from, take the family out from. I absolutely love it. Price range on them, $23,999. And I priced one out just because I wanted to see what I could spend. My dream boat was a little over $45. So, Jacqui, are we going to see you on the swim deck of one of these here this summer?
Now, look, those of you who don't know me and maybe would be surprised by this, as I am a closet boat dork. Like, I am very much into the idea of some sort of pontoon or something really fun to take out on the river. I live in Louisville,
Oh,
Kentucky.
yeah.
We've got the great big Ohio River there. We've got plenty of lakes. I have been pining for a pontoon boat for several years now. The summers are miserable, and if you're not in the water, you just want to die in Kentucky. Anyway, I was actually at a great big huge outdoor dealership about, I don't know, 4 months ago, and they had the catalog for this exact boat that you're showing right now, and I was in love with it. I love the plug and play. I love that you can yank the seats out. You could put a sun deck in. You could, I mean,
Yep.
I love that it's the Lego build idea of pontoon boats from the folks at Sea-Doo. I think it's amazing, and I desperately want one. If anybody from Sea-Doo is watching, feel free to put one in the mail to me. I think these are absolutely incredible and super, super cool. And I'm so glad you brought it up today. You know, 2020 and 2021 were both full of everybody snapping up anything outdoor life that they could get their hands on, and boats was no exception.
Oh
People
yeah.
discovered boats and water and jet skiing and watercraft and all sorts of cool stuff. So I think it's just the right boat at the right time. It speaks to like actually like living outdoor. Sorry about that. Living outdoor, being able to
Correct.
enjoy and entertain your friends outdoors. I think it's super, super cool, and I absolutely love it. So, bravo to you, Josh, for bringing this to everybody's attention because I think it is absolutely awesome. Um, so, what I want to talk about today in my neck of the woods, though, while I am here in Las Vegas, I wanted to go ahead and touch on another trade show that just happened a couple of weeks ago that really has been very heavily influenced by motorcycling, and that is the annual CES Consumer Electronics
Mhm.
Show. Normally, of course, this is going to be very traditional type electronics, but starting the past handful of years with the boom in e-bikes, this has been dominated by e-bikes and e-scooters, and lots of really cool stuff was just shown a handful of weeks ago. The very first slide I wanted to show was actually really interesting because it's an image from 2020, right before COVID landed and the cheese slid all the way off the cracker, as we say in Kentucky. This is a bike from a Canadian company called Damon. This is their Hypersport. This won the 2020 CES Innovation Award over everything, Josh, over traditional electronics, over everything. This motorcycle won the 2020 award, which is a great big huge deal. So this bike has tons of cool stuff going on with it. You can adjust the handlebars on the fly. Like, it's just super, super crazy. I recommend you go look at it. Again, this is the Damon Hypersport that's on your screen right now. But this year for 2022, they came back with a vengeance and they dropped the hammer and showed off this beautiful 2022, another bike from Damon. It's the next slide. And this is called, I have to look it up because the name is a little complicated. It is the Damon, what is it called? Hyper Fighter Colossus. So it's kind of a mouthful, so I had to look it up. But it's the Damon Hyper Fighter Colossus. It made the CES debut this past week as a meaty, muscular electric motorcycle. It's $35,000. It'll go hard and it'll go far with 170 mile per hour max speed and about 150-mile range, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, Josh. Absolutely unbelievable, beautiful bike from Damon. And then a whole bunch of other cool stuff also launched this past week at CES as well. If you want to go ahead and throw that next slide up, let's go ahead and check out some of the smaller stuff. So this is like one of the big guns that landed at CES about 2 weeks ago. This is another very cool little machine from a company called Delfast. I just thought it was neat. It had really great utility type style, just a cool bike. It claims to have the longest range of any e-bike, 200 miles on a single charge. It's also fast with a top speed of 50 miles per hour, which is not allowed on any US streets. So I'm sure no one's going to take it out for 50 miles per hour, right, Josh? But I
No,
thought this was
never.
just a really cool, very, very beautiful style exercise. Again, that is going to be the Delfast that was just shown last week out here at CES. And then my next slide is going to be another very cool machine that was shown out here. In case you didn't know you needed this, now you do, Josh. Speaking of being absolutely 3 and 4 feet deep in snow, this is an electric snow bike that they revealed out here a couple of weeks ago. This is called the Moon Bike. It's made in the US and Europe as part of a limited initial production run. The snow bikes are either available in red or white. They start at $8,500 and you can tack on an extra battery pack for $1,800 more. Again, this is going to be the Moon Bike snow bike. I mean, just super incredible. Let's check out our next slide of another cool thing that showed out here at CES about 2 weeks ago. This is going to be, I just wanted to show this real fast because while you and I may know the name Segway from the upright personal mobility designs, this is an e-scooter that is going to be launching from the folks over at Segway. And I just wanted to give them a little bit of love and show that. I thought it just had really great classic style, but of course is in an electric battery operated package. And then one of my last couple of slides I've got going on, if you want to go ahead and throw that up there. This I thought was really neat. This is another company. This is called either Breaker or Brecker, Brekr. I wanted to show this off because this has the swappable battery technology that I think is going to be really, really important going forward with e-bikes, e-scooters, e-snow bikes, just e-mobility. Period. I think that the swappable battery is going to be really, really important. So I wanted to go ahead and show that beautiful bike off. This is made overseas. This is a European-based company. And then what else did I have in the slides going on, Ashley? Is that the only thing I threw up there? I think that might be my grand finale is going to be this awesome Brecker or Breaker or Breaker. I don't really know exactly how you say it, but I think it's terrifically cool. Josh, what do you think about some of these awesome e-machines that were just revealed out here in Vegas?
So there's a couple of things with those. So the first one is, if someone, what is it, the Hyper Fighter Colossus?
I know.
If I told someone I was riding that, they would be like, that guy doesn't know what he's riding. So the
Yeah.
name standing aside, I mean, for me, these bikes, the styling, everything that goes into these bikes is not only gorgeous, but super functional. I
Yeah.
really like those. And to me, it's funny. It's one of the things that I enjoy when I've had like my supermoto out at the track. It's still got the stock exhaust. I am able to sneak up on people, and all of a sudden they're like, how are you in underneath me? On top of
Yeah.
that, this moon bike here, I mean, very cool setup. I mean, you need to go someplace when no one else can go anyplace. What a way to do it. The thing that I
Yeah.
want to touch on the most, though, is that Brecker, or however you say it, that swappable
Yep.
battery technology. Batteries are a huge expense when it comes to e-bikes. And it's often a concern for people that are looking at them saying, look, what's battery degradation like? What am I looking like down the road here? To have a setup like this, where it's a swappable setup, where you can pull it in, pull it out, and you're basically renting the battery and the juice from the battery, is the most economical way to do this. Because let's face it, the motors are going to run for darn near forever. The bearings typically aren't going to wear out. Brakes don't even wear out that much because of the regenerative braking. So these batteries and the swappable battery technology is going to be the biggest thing. Now, what I hope for is that some of the manufacturers try and start to come together and be like, look, we need to come up with this general format. So that way, just like when you pull up to the gas pump, it's stick the pump in the car. It can be the same type of thing for some of these battery swaps. I love this. I am so hoping we see so much more of this.
I agree with you. So I love that this is a swappable battery type platform, swappable battery type situation. I agree with you. I would love to hear a story about a more universal size battery that can go in and out of several different types of machines. That being said, that is the story of what's happening, particularly over in Asia. They are coming to a bit of a
Yes.
gentleman's agreement, as it were, with a couple of different platforms where they all have a universal fit battery. So hopefully we'll see if going forward some of these new manufacturers are all going to make up that same agreement, and we're going to come to that as like a global understanding. That would be a really, really very,
Yeah.
very cool platform, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, I thought these machines were just super, super cool, and that moon bike just blows my mind. It's perfect timing for all the snow that got dumped on the middle part of America, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Awesome.
I could use that. Definitely. That's yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, where were you in my life?
Yeah, yeah. It is. It just looks. It is just the business. I think it is absolutely just excellent, an excellent, excellent looking machine, and just has got to be an absolute hoot. Okay, so what's next on your to-do list of what we're going to talk about today, Josh?
So Honda has taken this time of year to brush up on a couple of existing models. Now, the one everyone's kind of looking at it like it's the Rebel, because we're old enough to remember the old 250 Rebel that people bought for $2,000. Someone rode it for 3 weeks and said, okay, this is too slow. The new generation of Rebel, the 300 and the 500, Honda made into great bikes that anyone can get on, and they will actually stay on for a while because they're such fun bikes that are just
Yeah.
unintimidating, unassuming, all the other stuff like that. So this year there is the 500 is still available with the ABS. The ABS version will be in a matte silver. There is also the 500 and the 300 will both come in matte gray metallic, which is a very cool color. I was able to see a sample of that. The matte pearl white is only available on the 500, and the blue that you see here, the pearl blue as they're calling it, that is only available on the 300. Both of these bikes I'm actually a huge fan of because, I mean, there's low seat height, there's not rocket ship performance, but there is enough performance that someone's going to stay interested in either one of these bikes for a long time. On top of that, it's good braking, it's a sturdy enough frame. They're just well built all around. Honda nailed the Rebel when they re-released it here a few years ago. The next one,
I
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I totally agree. I think the Rebel is such like an unsung hero for the
Oh,
folks over
totally.
at Honda. I think it does not get anywhere near enough respect as it should. I love that they did a rebranding a handful of years ago from Honda Rebel to just Rebel,
Yep.
and they started releasing these really neat customizing kits, so you can swap out the tank really easily. You could swap out
Yep.
that fender and that seat really easily, and make them a little bit more custom, a little bit more personal. I think that they are excellent bikes. I'm glad you brought them up today, Josh. And then what else does Honda have going on that's new?
I mean, it wouldn't be. I mean, it wouldn't be one of our shows if I didn't talk about something adventure bike, right? So the Africa Twin this year, there's four models. There's the standard, and then there's the Adventure Sports ES. Now, the other two models are those same two models, but with the DCT transmission in them. The Adventure Sports is going to have a taller adjustable screen and heated grips with optional tubeless tires and a larger fuel tank. Now, one of the big changes in these bikes, though, is they are available, or now it's going to be standard for them to have Android Auto. So if you want your phone connected with your motorcycle so that way you can see a text message, anything like that, to me, I personally shove my phone in my pocket and just forget about it. This is my escape from all things electronic.
We
Is
we know
but
Grandpa.
if you
We know Grandpa.
yeah, I'm good with it. I am totally good with it. Notice all the gray is to me it's that added feature. And Honda, as we've mentioned, Honda will re-release stuff, and it's nothing's ever like earth shattering. But they do change things, and they make just amazing stuff for what they do. And the Africa Twin has each year evolved a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and every year it's gotten better and better and better. So I mean, I'm a fan of all the adventure bikes, so I'm looking forward to getting a leg over one new one.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really just a story about refinement. It's about refining
Yes.
this platform versus like a full tilt, full bore, huge change up. They're always just pushing it just a
Yes.
tiny little bit, whether it's the fit, the finish, the connectivity, some of the tech. They're always just kind of pushing it and just refining it just a little bit more. So good news from the folks over at Honda. I am very much looking forward to seeing all of those bikes
Yeah.
live and in person. Hopefully we'll have a couple of them here out at AIM Expo in beautiful Las Vegas. As I mentioned at the top of the program, I am here in Las Vegas this whole week for AIM Expo, which is a motorcycle and power sports trade show out here. This is a business-based show. This is not technically open to the public. So we will be bringing you all of the new stuff and new news that's going on out here at AIM this entire week. But you have to go ahead, hit that notifications on, and hit that subscribe button because you are not going to want to miss it. Well, that's it for today's show, huh, Josh? Just some awesome news from the folks at Sea-Doo,
Totally.
Honda, KTM crushing it Dakar, crushing it in the showroom, and then some wicked
Mhm.
cool new bikes and e-bikes and e-toys going on that were just revealed at CES. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you, again, hit that notifications on. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be bringing you some live footage here at AIM Expo, and in future shows, we'll have that footage as well. So make sure you come on back, and we will see you next week.